Elise is as good as it gets. I've got a lot of friends in Congress. I lost one, the Esposito loss. It broke my heart. Lawler, Nicole, they're all my good buddies. There's nobody more impressive than Stefanik. Nobody. And the courage she showed as a Jewish boy from Brooklyn, just hammering all these professors at these universities, should really give her a Nobel Peace Prize. I swear to God, I mean, and Trump loves her. She was on stage in Milwaukee at the RNC. She was on stage with me and Trump at Madison Square Garden. She was on stage in Palm Beach the other night. I don't know anybody in New York, bipartisan, who doesn't love Elise Stefanik. With that said, here's my friend Elise. Elise, good morning. How are you?
Sid, great to be with you. What an amazing, amazing time for the American people to have such a historic election supporting President Trump. People could not be more excited.
I agree with you. It's just been an amazing 3 or 4 days, and I just outlined, Elise, how involved you've been in getting Trump the win. Speaking at the RNC, I'll never forget the image of your little boy, so cute, dancing out there while Mommy was on stage, sitting there with Daddy. And, of course, these other spots you spoke as well. I have to imagine, and everybody says, I don't want to talk about it, Lee Zeldin earlier, but I have to imagine that Donald Trump, as we speak, is thinking of a very, very good position for you on that White House team. Have you thought about that? Have you had that conversation, or are you just wrapped up in your Congress work?
You know, I always try to do the very best job, that the honor that I've had right now, which is representing New York's 21st District and serving as the House Republican Conference Chair. I know that President Trump is going to appoint the strongest team possible to deliver on his America First agenda and get it done. And listen, you know, we saw in the first term, when you have appointments that are not supportive of the president, you need people that are 100% loyal and understand that it's President Trump that earned the majority of the American people's vote, overwhelmingly won the Electoral College. So he needs strong allies. And, you know, I'm honored to have my name in the mix, but I'm focused on serving the president however that sees fit, whether that's passing the agenda in Congress or serving in his administration. But I know, you know, he's going to put together a stellar team no matter what. I was really pleased to see Susie Wiles was named as his chief of staff. You know, it was just a week ago that Mark Cuban criticized wrongly and smeared all the Republican women that President Trump surrounds himself with. He said, Mark Cuban said, there's no strong or intelligent women around President Trump. Well, look at Susie Wiles. It's just one of many examples. She's making history as the first female chief of staff in the White House, as a Republican, not a Democrat, and a Republican serving as chief for President Trump. It's an amazing day in America, and we have so much work to do. We're ready to roll up our sleeves and get it done.
Mark Cuban's an idiot, and you could add Sonny Hostin, that idiot from The View, who followed up his stupid remark with Trump doesn't surround himself with strong women. She said he won because of uneducated white women. That's you, by the way. So congratulations, Elise. It's just amazing how these people, whether it's TV people or politicians, I mean, let's be honest, Elise, even Biden and Harris, they congratulate Trump on a win, but both combine that with he's still a threat to democracy. When will the Democrats come to the realization the reason why they lost, and lost so handily, by the way, many Democrats voted for Trump, the reason why is their party has gone berserk.
Their party has gone so far to the radical left, and they're deeply out of touch with hardworking American families. If you look at every county, every single county across the country voted more for President Trump than they did in 2020. There was not a single county that Kamala Harris performed better than Joe Biden in 2020. So it is a wake-up call. But, you know, the Democrats and the far-left celebrities, they're going to continue going down this path. It's so out of touch, it's offensive. And people are smart. I've always been a believer that the American people are smart, and they can see through this really biased media that has been doing a disservice to the American people for many, many years, decades, really. President Trump did so much, not only channeling the American people, but exposing the rot in the media, the rot in these far-left education institutions. We're here to serve the American people, and whether it's, you know, on The View or these other celebrities or some of these colleges canceling classes, they're so out of touch. They really need to ask themselves, why are they so out of touch with Americans who have been suffering from the inflation crisis, that are seeing the border crisis, that are seeing crime surge in communities across the country? And I love that New York, think about this, President Trump did better in New York than any Republican running for president since Ronald Reagan. He made more inroads in Queens and the Bronx. It is extraordinary. He did better in New York than Kamala Harris did in Florida. And remember, Florida's considered sometimes a swing state.
Yeah.
But think about that. And New Jersey. He brought New Jersey to single digits. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I just had that discussion with Eric moments ago, and I gave you credit. I did. I gave Lee Zeldin credit. I gave Bruce Blakeman credit, and quite frankly, I gave myself credit. I'm on the air 4 hours a day, saying great things about Trump. But he made the most when he was here. I mean, the guy was here for the better part of 3 months in court every day. He could have gone back to Trump Tower and taken a nap. He didn't do that, right? He met with the firefighters. He met with union workers. He rallied in the Bronx. Then he had that great rally out in Wildwood, Madison Square Garden, Nassau Coliseum, the barber shop. Every opportunity Trump had, if he had to be in New York, he made sure he took advantage of it. And that is really the reason why he did so well. Agree?
I agree. And you know what? It's really interesting, Sid, because as you know, I mean, you spoke at Madison Square Garden. I did as well. What an honor for both of our lives. Oh. And remember, the media was smearing us leading up to the Madison Square Garden and after Madison
They called
Square
us
Garden.
Nazis. They called us Nazis.
They called us Nazis.
Elise, I've been to Israel twice in the last 7 months. How am I a Nazi?
Exactly. It shows, I mean, it was desperate from Democrats, but Kamala Harris could never fill Madison Square Garden. Only President Trump. He is iconic in that sense that he is a once-in-a-lifetime, once-in-a-country, type of candidate and elected official who was able to break through and expose, as I said, the rot in the mainstream media and speak directly to the people. He filled every seat in Madison Square Garden, and I'm so glad he did it. He is much more in touch than any of these media personalities who just are sitting on their high horses and really are demeaning the concerns of the American people. And I think one of the biggest catastrophic mistakes that the Kamala Harris and Joe Biden campaign made was they tried to convince the people that the economy was okay and the economy was strong. And yet we go to the grocery stores every day. People are seeing their utility prices skyrocket. They can't afford groceries. People are going further into debt. We see what we do with our own eyes, despite what they're trying to push this false narrative from Joe Biden and Kamala Harris.
Two more. This is the great Congresswoman, man, I love her, Elise Stefanik. Just, my wife, Danielle, who's a beautiful, smart girl, big-time attorney. You're her favorite. She loves you. She's listening right now. She's felling. She's like, oh, my God, tell Elise I love her. So I'm telling you, my wife, Danielle, loves you. I want to get to the northern part of the state. I mentioned that I had Steve McLaughlin on earlier. Never spoke to the guy in my whole life, but he says he's got an office in the same building that you've got. And he said,
He's amazing.
He is amazing. He was a great guest. That part of New York, Elise, the last two governors, Cuomo, and boy, did you do a job on Andrew Cuomo. I got to tell you, that was great. Cuomo and Kathy Hochul promised us they were going to fix that part of the state. They've done nothing. Is there going to come a time when somebody can actually fix that part of this state?
Well, I'm fighting to do that every day. Steve knows that. Steve is a great ally, a great friend. And if you look back at Steve's history, he was one of the first voices exposing Andrew Cuomo way back when everyone else was scared to do so. It was Steve, when he was in the New York Assembly, every single day he was exposing the corruption of Andrew Cuomo, the failure of Andrew Cuomo, just the vitriolic viciousness in terms of how Andrew Cuomo ran the state into the ground. And Steve, as you talk about the weaponization of the federal government against Donald Trump, that's the pinnacle. But they've done that to Steve McLaughlin, too, in Rensselaer County, going after him because Steve dared to stand up against, for example, the nursing home mandate that led to the 15,000 innocent lives lost. Steve was the only county executive who took the lead and said, no, we are protecting our most vulnerable, and I'm not doing what Cuomo is forcing us to do. So Steve has been tremendous. He is going to be a talent for many, many years to come and is a voice of common sense and reason. And he's right. One of my congressional offices is in the county office in Rensselaer County. And with redistricting, I'm sad to lose Rensselaer County, but Steve will be a friend and a fighter for a long time to come.
Do you get sick to your stomach when you hear that Andrew Cuomo was going to run for mayor?
I stand by what I said in Congress, which was Andrew Cuomo is never going to hold public office again. It just shows the sheer arrogance. Again, there was a criminal referral of Andrew Cuomo for lying to Congress. which he did. And, that's going to be that has been referred to the Department of Justice. But that is the level of entitlement and arrogance that really has led to this decline in the Democrat Party. As much as he likes to point fingers at Kathy Hochul and others, it was Andrew Cuomo who supported bail reform and allied himself with the defund the police Democrats. It is Andrew Cuomo who has led to this ethics corruption scandal that we're experiencing today in the Democratic Party. And Andrew Cuomo was the worst governor in America until we had Kathy Hochul, who somehow is even worse in terms of her polling numbers.
She really is. That bizarre press conference with her and Letitia James we put in prison, by the way. Last one for you. I started the conversation talking about the job you did, not just with Cuomo, but the university professors, even the one after. People talk about the 3 you did in one day with MIT, Penn, and Harvard. The one you did at Northwestern, that was fantastic. But it's a serious question. As a Jewish boy from Brooklyn, as I just said to you, I've been to Israel twice since October the 7th. I fight for Trump every day, but I also fight for the Jewish people in Israel every day, Elise. And I need things to get better. Do you think Donald Trump winning is going to help cure some of the ills that we see on these college campuses every day?
I have no doubt. President Trump gave a very historic speech on combating anti-Semitism. I was there to be a part of it. He delivered this speech in Washington, D.C., and he said on day one, schools will lose their accreditation if they do not enforce Title VI protections for Jewish students. The schools are not doing so today. He's going to hold them accountable. His administration is going to hold them accountable, and he will have a Congress and a Republican Senate who will use the power of the purse to defund every cent of taxpayer dollar unless these schools get it together when it comes to protecting Jewish students on campus. And then there needs to be a long-term strategy, which I'm also very focused on addressing, the scandals in the tenure system where you have tenured professors who are increasingly radical leftists so far removed from the focus of academics, which should be critical thinking, which should be academic integrity. Instead, they are mimicking and parroting the leftist talking points, just like those university presidents were there. We also can go after the tax status of the endowments of these schools. So now that we have a Republican Senate and we're going to have a Republican House and President Trump in the White House, these schools are on notice. So are other anti-Semitic institutions like the UN. The list is long. We are coming to fix this country, and President Trump is the only president who is going to be able to get this done, and I'm going to be with him every step of the way, no matter what that role looks like.
You are a national treasure. I mean that sincerely. I hope that President Trump gives you a very, very important job. I mean, so you're a great congresswoman, we know that, but I need you everywhere. So please, continued success. Thank you so much for coming on the show today. Consider you a good friend. You're terrific. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Sid.
Good to talk to you. That's Elise Stefanik, the great congresswoman right there. Man, is she great. She is just a wonderful, wonderful person. She's smart. She's sweet. She gave me her chair at the RNC. If you go back and look at the videos, and I'm sitting right there on the floor for the President Trump speech, Elise gave me her seat. She was with her kid and her husband at the time. She said, Sid, take my seat.
What?
I didn't even have a pass. I swear to God.
You took a seat from a woman?
She gave it to me.
How dare you?
She gave it to me.
Well, you didn't take it, did you?
She said, Sid, take my seat. I'm like, you're Elise Stefanik. Don't worry about it. It's okay.
Really?
First, I had Ina Vernikov sneak me in. And then I had Elise Stefanik give me the seat. Wow, she's awesome.